Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Straight Talk. Now, what I got? Huh? Hold on. I'm trying to get this going. I'm just hoping, man. I should have done this first. Yeah. But anyway, welcome back to Straight Talk. And if you see me with a blanket around, dude, man, my people, it is freezing up in here, up in here, up in here. Now, I am telling you that. Like y'all might not think that it's you know uh, cold. It might be on the chilly part, but man, it's like at night it's like 72, 65, and that is way too cold. Oh, chilly, as as the people who are normally associated with cold weather. But I'm bundled up here, Joe. I'm not playing. I'll be sleeping up under my wife. My wife be trying about, hey, get your black ass up off of me. What the hell? No, no. You're gonna have to take this. I took all your shit, so now you gotta take mine. So here we go. But anyway, tonight we're gonna be covering quite a bit, like we always do, and really try to connect the dots and what that means, how that means, and why it means, and and the overall gist of that information that I am going to be sharing with you and cement it in the uh, final analysis or final. No, they high. It's okay. I said hmm. In the final analysis of the video, right? So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up the share screen. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Here we go. So here is the share screen, and I am ready to go. So I'm gonna take a quick look at where it's going to flow from. Yes, hold on. Now we all know that white folk love to lie. They love to scheme. They love to whine, moan, and bitch. They love to blame everybody but them. They go like this. You're the cause. But there are three fingers pointing back to them. You know? And so we're going to be taking a really good hard look at the so-called white boys and white girls. Because to be honest with you, they don't deserve not 1 ounce of respect. You need to be out here disrespecting them at every turn. They've stolen your heritage, they've stolen your custom, they've stolen your tradition, they've stolen your language and your crown and your kingdom. They are the invaders. They have no history, they have no culture, they have no language. All of what they got from us. And so tonight we're going to be going not only into our history and what that means, and especially on Tuesday night, we're going to really nail it down because if you remember the other guy that had played this preacher that lambasted, I guess that's the word, talk bad about our people, like we don't have nothing to do with the white man, and we should be thankful. This is what happens to you when you don't know your history. It is disrespect to the nth degree and to our ancestors, and no rhetorical response. You know what I mean? No one is answering that call. And so tonight, I really want to get into that. Not only that, but just to remember, I'm not going to play it again. But if you follow the show, then you know what I'm talking about. And all of these coon and Negroes and everybody like that who are dead weight around the neck of our people. And it's so critical to be critical and to put them in their place. Now I'm gonna go. My wife put me under the gun, gave me something to eat, but I'm gonna cut off the video, the feed. I want to eat a little bit, but I'm gonna continue. All right. So hold on. So as we move forward, hey, brother, what I really appreciate you being here, man, like always. Man, you know. But look, bro, it's been one for the record book. And as a people, we should be, in the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, sick and tired of being sick and tired. Don't say shit, but do something. These people are playing the Wicked Wild game. They hoping and praying, hoping and praying and praying and hoping and praying and hoping that we don't wake up to the reality of who they are. But we know. We know. And all the love they've gotten over the century, bragging about what they did, they didn't do shit. Everything that white folks got, the white boy and the white girl got it from us. Plain and simple. I'm more than willing to pay anybody who can show me that that's not true. Show me that William Shakespeare wasn't true, wasn't fact, wasn't black. Damn, I guess what happened? Show me where King James wasn't black, and his son and grandson, King Charles and King George, and their wives. If you can do that, I am more than willing to pay you $10,000. But if you fuck up around, if you fuck around and fuck up, Robert, you're going to owe me $1,000. That's not bad. So spread the word. Let people know. And Isaiah is offering $10,000 to anybody who can prove him wrong. No, they ain't gonna win. But I would appreciate it if I get my money. So as we move forward for today's program, I want you to take a real good look of how our people were and still we're waking up. I'll be right back.
Before your borders had names, my bloodline already ruled the roads between worlds. Erase my face from your books if you must. The stones still know my name. They called me a shadow in their chronicles, because empires don't like to admit who truly built them. I am not a myth. I am the reason myths exist. They can't hide facts forever. The Black Knights of European history live on. Long live the Black Knights in history! Our legacy endures forever. The kingdom calls. I must answer. Subscribe to the Swarthy channel to discover our real legacy. The Black Knights of history live on. Before your borders had names, my bloodline already ruled the road.
So we got that one down. And the thing about it is that the Knights of the Round Table were black. The founder of the Knights of the Round Table were black. I can't remember his name right now, but it'll come up in a minute or two. But these things you should know. And if we allow these animals continue to talk shit about our ancestors, knowing fully well who they were, then the joke is on you. No? And so here we're talking about they are just rubbing it in our face at this moment. 15 minutes, and I'll be right back.
Well, let's find out. Epstein in an email to Peter Thiel. As you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. Epstein to Ariane de Rothschild. Quote, the Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. Epstein in a message to Larry Summers. Zelensky is looking for help. Putin is dismissive, saying he's run by Israelis. He's being run by Israelis. That's Epstein telling Larry Summers that Putin believes Zelensky is being run by Israelis. Absolutely. See, that Putin is just like on point with his geopolitical analysis. I haven't ever listened to that man tell a lie yet. Epstein's executor, Nikolic to Epstein. We should go to Russia soon. And you should meet my friend Ilya Ponomarev. The stakes are huge. He might replace Putin and become president himself sooner or later if he's not killed first. Do we know what happened to Ilya Ponomarev? That's how you say it. The hands are wrong? Oh, there's a lot more that's wrong with this than just the hands. Yeah, the Western media and Ukrainians are like, Epstein worked for Putin, the biggest cope of all. The biggest cope of all right there. Epstein had half the Western establishment in his contacts, so naturally the conclusion is Putin did it. Yep, Epstein. Everything I do is for the benefit of Israel, and I hate Goyim. Mainstream media. Clearly this man was a Russian spy. I can't think of any other explanation. Wow, Russia. There's a sketch right there for you. 3 million pages and documents revealing the rape, torture, and abuse of young girls were released, and not a single one of the pedophiles has been arrested yet because the U.S. government is protecting them. Burn the entire system to the ground, says one tweeter. Breaking. Epstein tied young girls 11 to 13, spread out on the floor, and burned them with a magnifying glass. Files extracts reveal. This is an unclassified document from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I don't even know if I could read it because the print's so not bold. Jeffrey Epstein torturing a young woman with a magnifying glass. So cell telephone number blank, residential address blank, called the FBI National Threat Operations Center, NTOC, to report a viral video of what appears to be Jeffrey Epstein torturing a young woman with a magnifying glass. Wait, this is a viral video? If it's viral, how do we not know about it? Martin provided the following information. Martin's daughter, Jessica McQueen, sent Martin a piece of a video of what appeared to be a young white female aged 11 to 13 years. A young white female. No, it's a kid, guys. It's a child aged, a young white female aged 11 to 13 with dark-colored hair, tied down and naked. The victim is tied to the ground and spread eagle with a man who appears to be Jeffrey Epstein holding a magnifying glass with a cloth.
Okay.
Burning the victim. Martin described the video as being blurry. However, the male subject appeared to be a very large man with gray hair wearing
Let me come back. Hold on.
a short-sleeved black shirt and white tennis shoes. Martin stated Facebook would not take the video down. In the frame of the video, it says Epstein. However, the video is blurry. Martin advised that McQueen did not feel comfortable reporting the information. However, her friends are reporting it. We've got more alleged bodies of young girls buried at the Trump National Golf Club in Los Angeles. Trump stated that he was aware of the underage sex parties and charged the House money for the golf course to fund the sex parties. Blank witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl during a sex party. He claims she is buried behind the 19th hole. The 19th? I thought there was only 18 holes at a golf course. Is that right? He's buried behind the 19th hole at the Donald Trump golf course. Blank is aware of 3 separate occasions in which girls were, and it cuts off. And this is on June 21st, 2021 at 4:07 p.m., someone called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to report Donald Trump knew and funded underage sex parties at the Donald Trump golf course. Oh, and says this is the continuation, murdered and buried there. Blank was told if he spoke about the incident he witnessed, he would end up in the hole as well. Blank gave Maxwell the idea to put cameras in the golf course to review the cartel members and understand how to market the 12 to 14-year-old victims to the cartel. Suleiman's reporting that the DOJ failed to completely redact this guy from the new release of Epstein files. Does anybody recognize him? Oh, yeah. Who is this guy? Anybody recognize him? Is he in the chat? Have a look to the person to your left, and then have a look at the person to your right. Is he here? All right. I wonder who sent Jeffrey Epstein this picture of a young girl in a SpaceX t-shirt. Who could that be? From Redacted to Jeffrey, Friday the 12th of July, 2013. That was the same year that Elon was trying to go to the island. Remember? 2012, 2013, tried to go on Christmas both years. And I think the word around the campfire is that, he went to the islands, but maybe didn't go to Jeffrey Epstein's island in particular, Epic Island Vacation. They say that email thread titled Epic Island Vacation is a fake, but the other ones are real, where he's asking about the wildest party. But don't be demoralized by this, because we know that they're trying to muddy the waters. They're trying to flood some of these files with fake emails so that they can debunk them and then make you think that none of it's real, but it's definitely real. Yeah, see that. This is the same email. The one where he says "girls for the win." We're told that is fake. He never said that. Okay, but he did say about, I need to know your wildest party. When is your wildest party? Elon's daughter confirmed some of the things. I'd be interested in taking a look at that too. The more that comes out, the more you start to wonder if we even know the half of how sick these people are. The pic is fake. Zoom in on the logo. I can't zoom in on it, unfortunately, but it does look like, yeah, it could be. I don't know. We got to be careful, I'm just showing you things that people have reposted that have shown up on my For You page. So it's posts that are, doing well, that are like well liked. But you're right. I mean, I have no idea if it's completely true what we're looking at. I mean, we'll have to be vigilant. Where did that come from? There will be a whole counter narrative too. Harvard professor Martin Nowak emailed Ghislaine in 2002 to thank her for her hospitality. Then, out of nowhere, I am so happy that I did not anybody. Dear Ghislaine, many thanks again for your amazing hospitality. I'm so very sorry I caused you so much worry and that I spoiled this day. I'm so happy that I did not anybody. My perspective of life has changed somehow. Lots of love, Martin. I just keep thinking about, like, The Godfather Part 2, and you had that senator who, he just accidentally blew. He's got to call the mafia to come bail him out. But that's just what I think about with these people. They're like, whoops, can we take care of this? Don't worry, nobody knows her name. She came from a really, we probably did a good thing, actually. I'm sure they'll justify it. These are just poor people. Who cares? They're from a foreign country. It's fine. Just for the fun. That's right. Just for the funsies. This is from the Redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. I found at least 3 very good young Fords, but we was so tired. I will cover up this week. Meet this one, not the beauty queen, but we both likes her a lot. I probably shouldn't laugh because it's probably the most depraved they're describing, but just how this email reads is kind of comical, don't you think? I found at least 3 very good young poor, but we was so tired. I will cover up this week. What, cover up the bodies? Meet this one, not the beauty queen, but we both likes her a lot. Yeah, I can tell you likes her a lot, don't you? Don't you there, tough guy. An employee threatened to leak where Epstein has the 2 teenagers he strangled and buried there at Zero Ranch. You mean Zorro Ranch. Edward! Are there any Edwards out there? Edward, this is sensitive. This is a confidential email about Jeffrey Epstein, and I think it's made by his groundskeeper. He says, Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro Ranch, which is Jeffrey Epstein's ranch home in New Mexico. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know, somewhere in the hills outside Missouri, 2 foreign girls were buried on borders of Jeffrey and Madam G? I think we know who that is. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein, and there's a bunch of links. Then he says, please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. today, Thursday, November 22nd, 2019. To the BTC wallet address, and then he gives his address. 1 Bitcoin for all of this? In 2019? What was the price of Bitcoin in 2019? Like $3,000? Come on, man.
Hold on.
Hello, my name's Jacob Elijah Moses Doe.
1 Bitcoin in 2019. Please send $1 million. Now that we know that Trump is a foreign asset, aren't we obligated to place him in front of? Oh no, I'm just asking questions. The Epstein documents confirm the CIA and Mossad plant photos and videos on cell phones and computers of people they want to imprison. Man, it doesn't sound so great. I'm pretty sure both of those organizations don't like me. That's America's closest ally, guys. When they say Israel is America's closest ally, this is what they mean right here. Although I would say that they're both rotten strawberries. Maybe I should get a flip phone. Maybe I should just, go live in the woods. That way the Mossad could never blackmail me. I'll just forgo society and civilization. I'll make my own food. I'll just live in the wild. That's probably the answer. This is an email from a redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. And look, the government's like, oh, we gotta redact that for you. You don't want to know who this is. We can't. Probably Bill Gates. But it just shows you, like, they're literally protecting the U.S. government is protecting the. Call me crazy, but I don't think the Talmud should be running the government. You. Here is a supposed Freudian slip. You be the judge. By Donald Trump. Trump responding to Trevor Noah slips and calls Jeffrey Epstein Jeffrey, not Epstein, not a guy, just Jeffrey. That's familiarity talk. People don't default to first names with strangers, especially ones they claim they never knew. Tells matter.
And I don't think they want to see a shutdown.
Mr. President, are you going to sue Trevor Noah? Last night in a post, you alluded that something could be coming.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight. This guy is terrible. I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. Stopped watching it numerous times.
Yeah, sure thing. This made my stomach turn. We talk about all this? How they had code words? Hot dog, boy equals girl, cheese equals little girl, pasta equals little boy, ice cream equals nail prostitute, walnut equals person of color, map equals semen, sauce equals orgy. So they had little codes. I don't know, there's no context to that. It says an intelligence bulletin. Looks like it could have been photoshopped, honestly, but that is what is being alleged. Fancy this, the people who kids want you to have a social credit score. They are mentioning babies and cannibalism right here. This is from Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sorry, let's see. I think both of these are from Jeffrey Epstein to somebody redacted. He says, LOL, I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. It's okay, there's still enough time today. I'm trying to schedule priming for 5:30, fuel explosion 9:45 p.m. We bring a new engine startup video. Jeffrey writes back and says, there are millions of babies. Very little good vegetable cream cheese. Very little good vegetable cream cheese. And that's code. Yeah, it sounds like code. Got babies? It's code for more babies. I think they're talking about babies. Yeah, babies is code for babies. Gene Simmons says he doesn't care. He doesn't work on cars. That's what Gentiles are for. Jesus.
Hi, Nick. Hi. Just want to see what you're doing. I don't really know what this is. This is the dipstick. But I don't know anything about anything else. Looks like a messenger. Technology. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. That's what Gentiles are for. You hire them. Which on the phone?
Rich, poor, Jew, Gentile, however you want to classify it. Boy, they. This is an interesting post. Yeah, it says Epstein's Gmail is live and you can browse it. It's called Jmail. A Gmail Drive Photos replica. It organizes Epstein's leaked files as if you were logged in as him. Hi, Jeffrey. Forget digging through PDFs. Files and videos like a real inbox. Michael Wolff says, war between the Jews and the non-Jews. Jews presently winning. And that's in response to apparently a Bloomberg article that Jeffrey Epstein sent him. Bannon removed from National Security Council role in shakeup. So Steve Bannon, he's like not a Jew, you know, he's a goy. And so what do the Jewish supremacists say when they receive news of a goy being removed from the National Security Council in the Trump admin? It's like, yeah, we're fighting over, control over the Trump administration. Looks like the goys are losing, the Jews are winning. And then, 2 years later, we know that Jeffrey Epstein was interviewed by Steve Bannon. And Jeffrey Epstein was very duplicitous, very manipulative, deceptive. Because he tries to put the goy at ease, and be respectful in his presence. But we know what he really thinks, and this just shows it. Bannon knew. Oh, Bannon knew for sure. He's a Jewish ally, a goyish.
Hold on.
Bannon is. For sure. No doubt about that. This lady does a Freudian slip. Let's see if you can hear it.
We are the first species on the face of this earth to be aware of evidence.
Oh, yo, America.
To be aware that we are affected by everything that we do. The babies we eat, or wars we fight, what? The babies we eat. We are the first species on the face of this earth.
The babies we eat? What is this up to? Excuse me.
To be
Grandma, what parties are you going to? Are you on the list? The gold lady? What kind of is you into? Don't they eat babies so that they can stay young? Looks like it didn't work for this old hag. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to the page to help it grow. And if you'd like to support my work, join my Patreon for exclusive content.
All right, so now we know what's going on. It is some nasty work that these troglodyte tomahawks are doing behind closed doors. It is an absolutely, positively fucking shame that this shit is going on in the present moment. I am really disturbed by it all. And at what point do we say enough is enough? As a civilized nation, when do we call or pull the plug on this bullshit and call it what it is? White boy bullshit and white girl bullshit. They have not created not one civilization, not one world religion, not nothing. It was all done by our people and forefathers and mothers, ancestors. See, we cannot afford to follow these people because you're going to be like that preacher, end up like that preacher. They're talking all that shit about his own people because he has no understanding of how significant we are. And if you want to avoid that, please learn your history. It is as simple as that. Because there's no way you're going to do it knowing what the truth is. And so this is they weren't white, the Hidden Lords. And you can find it. This book is free. Memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mackey, Esquire, 1733. I'll be right back.
Memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mackey, Esquire, during the reigns of King William, Queen Anne, and King George I, published from his original manuscript,
Hello, kings and queens.
as
We're black.
attested by his son Spring Mackey, Esquire, 1733. 1. Mr. Boyle Mackey explicitly describes Boyle as dark complexion. He is of middle stature, inclining to fat, dark complexion, wears his own hair. This is a clear complexion marker. 2. Sir Charles Hedges, Secretary of State, another noble clearly identified as dark, is a handsome man of a dark complexion turned of 45 years. This is especially significant because he was a Secretary of State, a major position. 3. Stafford Fairborn, Vice Admiral. This is one of the strongest examples because Mackey uses the word swarthy plainly, is fat, swarthy, of a complexion, towards 50 years old. Swarthy, in 18th century English, meant dark brown skin, not tanned. This is a high-ranking naval officer, son of a governor of Tangier. 4. The Duke, unidentified in snippet, coarse, dark complexion, another high-ranking figure, of a middle stature, inclining to fat, of a coarse, dark complexion. This is notable because coarse, dark complexion often implied a naturally darker, textured, or foreign appearance. 5. Unnamed noble, middle-statured brown man. This is one of the clearest complexion markers. He is a middle-statured brown man, turned of 60 years old. Brown man in 1733 is unambiguous. A man of brown skin, not merely tanned. 6. Abergavenny, gentleman of the bedchamber. Abergavenny, later the Earl of Abergavenny, is described as a little brown man, very lovely, 30 years old. This is another aristocrat clearly identified as brown-skinned. These citations prove directly from a primary 1730 document that multiple British nobles, including secretaries of state, admirals, and hereditary lords, were described as dark swarthy brown. These are not Victorian euphemisms or poetic flourishes. They are literal physical descriptions from a contemporary observer whose job required accuracy. This is exactly the type of material that contradicts later 19th and 20th century historical whiteness. Now I leave you with a musical narrative that I produced based on this very source. You can obtain a free copy of this book directly from b1decoded.com. The link is in the description. And in light of this information, and many other sources like it that are now being brought to light, we must rethink everything. The reality is that countless historical figures, men of power, influence, and legacy, who we were taught were white, simply were not. These were dark, swarthy, brown, and even black complexioned leaders whose identities were later rewritten, repainted, or erased. And that means we must take the good with the bad in this respect, acknowledging all of it, even when it disrupts the comfortable narrative we grew up with. Only then can we begin to rebuild a truthful understanding of our shared past.
Listen closely to the words they left behind. In Memoirs of John Mackey, the nobility are described not by titles alone, but by the colors of their faces, the fire in their eyes, the tones of their skin. Charles, Duke of Somerset, of a middle stature, well-shaped, a very black complexion. Daniel, Earl of Nottingham, a tall, thin, very black man like a Spaniard or Jew. Lord Bellevin, a rough, fat, black, noisy man, more like a bear than a lord. George, Duke of Northumberland, a tall black man, like his father the king. Mr. Methuen, a tall black man in his complexion and manners much of a Spaniard. Sir Stafford Fairboy, fat, swarthy, of a brown complexion. These are not exaggerations. These are direct observations. The author cataloguing a court filled with diversity centuries before the story was rewritten. Yet over time, these words were buried beneath layers of interpretation. Scholars sought in the Medita skip their modern systems. Even the A's we use today explain them away. But here, in the record, they still speak. Black, brown, swarthy, tawny. They tell of an England and a Scotland whose nobles look far different from the portraits we were shown. And that is why we read the sources ourselves, because the truth was never lost. It was simply described, then ignored. These are the voices in the record. And through projects like B1 Decoded, we let them speak again. Not reimagined, not corrected, but remembered.
All right. So we are at the juncture moving forward with our ancestors' history. It is important to know that when you know the past, you can understand the present and predict the future. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no wondering, no, it might be, could be, it is. And so as we move forward, we're going to get into the black banking dynasty that funded the British Empire. Now, I covered this before with the Jaga Seth out of India and what that meant. These were black people, you got. India is the daughter of Africa. Point blank and fucking very simple. We're going to break it down in 10 minutes, and I will be right back.
Omit the African merchants who controlled gold routes worth billions, the Afro-Portuguese bankers who financed royal expeditions, the black financiers who underwrote slave trade profits and then invested them into London's first banks, and the mixed-race banking families who became some of Britain's wealthiest creditors. These weren't victims. These were power brokers, financial architects, and economic kingmakers who held the purse strings of empires. Their wealth didn't just flow through European hands, it was generated, controlled, and multiplied by black financial genius that predated and enabled European dominance. Today, we're re-pulling back the curtain on the most suppressed economic history ever hidden, the black banking dynasties that bankrolled an empire, then watched as history erased their names from every ledger, every monument, and every textbook. This is their story. Before we discuss how black financiers funded the British Empire, we must understand where their wealth originated, because it didn't begin in Europe. It began in Africa, thousands of years before Britain even existed as a nation. The Kingdom of Kush, located in what is now Sudan, wasn't just a military power, it was an economic superpower. By 800 BCE, Kushite kings controlled the gold mines of Nubia, which produced more gold than anywhere else in the ancient world. This wasn't small-scale mining. These were industrial operations employing thousands, with sophisticated extraction techniques that wouldn't be matched in Europe for another 1,000 years. Kushite merchants established trade networks stretching from the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean, moving gold, ivory, ebony, and incense through sophisticated banking systems that used credit, contracts, and exchange rates. The Ghana Empire, which flourished from 300 to 1200 CE, built its power on something simple but revolutionary, controlling the gold salt trade. The empire's capital, Kaumbi, Sela, was a financial center where merchants from across Africa, the Middle East, and eventually Europe came to trade. The Ghanaian kings didn't just tax this trade, they regulated it with a sophisticated system of tariffs, standardized weights and measures, and enforceable contracts. Arab chronicler al-Bakri documented in 1067 that the king of Ghana was the richest king on the face of the earth due to his control of gold production. Every gold nugget found in the empire belonged to the king. While gold dust could be traded freely, an early form of monetary control that stabilized the economy, the Mali Empire took this financial sophistication to another level. Under Mansa Musa, who ruled from 1312 to 1337, Mali controlled over half of the world's gold supply. When Mansa Musa made his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, he brought so much gold, reports suggest 60,000 men carrying 4 pounds of gold each, that he temporarily crashed the gold market in Egypt and Arabia. It took 12 years for the market to recover, but here's what history books miss. This wasn't just ostentatious wealth display. Mansa Musa was engaging in strategic economic diplomacy, establishing Mali as a creditor nation. He loaned gold to merchants and governments along his route, creating debt relationships that gave Mali financial leverage across 3 continents. The Songhai Empire, which succeeded Mali, created even more advanced financial institutions. In cities like Timbuktu, Gao, and Gent, merchant families established banking houses that offered loans, currency exchange, and letters of credit. The Sankha University in Timbuktu was Amtusa's center of Islamic scholarship. It was a training ground for merchants, accountants, and financial administrators. Manuscripts from this period show sophisticated mathematical texts dealing with compound interest, profit-sharing partnerships, and risk management. These weren't primitive barter economies. These were complex financial systems that rivaled anything in medieval Europe. By the 15th century, when European explorers began arriving on African coasts, they weren't discovering primitive societies. They were encountering established economic powers with centuries of financial expertise, international trade networks, and accumulated wealth that dwarfed anything in Europe. The question isn't whether Africans had financial sophistication, it's how that sophistication was transferred, appropriated, and ultimately erased. The connection between African financial power and British imperial wealth begins in the 15th and 16th centuries, but not in the way most people think. The dominant narrative suggests Europeans arrived, conquered, and extracted. The reality is far more complex and far more revealing about who actually controlled the money. When Portuguese traders first established contact with the Kingdom of Congo in 1483, they didn't conquer it. They negotiated with it as equals. King Nzinga and Enku, and later his son Afonso I, were sophisticated rulers who understood exactly what the Portuguese wanted: access to trade routes. Particularly in enslaved people land, they leveraged that desire for maximum profit. Afonso I, who ruled from 1509 to 1543, wasn't a victim of European traders. He was a business partner who used Christianity and Portuguese literacy to modernize his kingdom while maintaining strict control over trade terms. Letters between Afonso and Portuguese kings show him demanding better prices, complaining about Portuguese merchants trying to bypass his middlemen, and threatening to cut off trade if his terms weren't met. Here's the critical fact. For the first 200 years of the Atlantic slave trade, African rulers and merchants controlled the supply side. Europeans couldn't simply raid the interior for enslaved people. They didn't have the military power, the knowledge of terrain, or the disease resistance. They had to buy from African merchants who set the prices. These merchants became fantastically wealthy. They demanded payment in gold.
The more you stay home, the less you want to leave. And the more you stay, the heavier everything feels. You think you're resting, but you're actually draining yourself. Your brain slows down. Your thoughts get louder. You stop wanting to do anything. This is how self-sabotage shows up in high IQ men. Your mind keeps spinning, stuck in the past, worried about the future, exhausted by the present. Time slips away. Motivation fades. Even simple tasks feel too hard, and every day you disappoint yourself a little more. Not because you're lazy, but because you don't have the right system. High IQ, zero system. Huge potential, no structure. That's why we created the YZ 28-day plan. Just 15 minutes a day, and life can change. In 1 week, you'll finally finish the first goal. In 2 weeks, you'll build routines that actually stick. In 1 month, you become the person you were supposed to be. Stop wasting potential. Start today. Take the quiz.
I'm sorry. Damn. I was in there talking to my wife.
Silver, firearms, textiles, and other
Sorry about that.
manufactured goods. In many cases, they demanded payment in bills of exchangeary forms of bank drafts that could be redeemed in European cities. African merchants were not only participating in international finance, they were dictating its terms. The Efik merchants of Calabar, in what is now Nigeria, created one of the most sophisticated commercial networks in the Atlantic
Listen,
world. By the 18th century,
it wasn't
Efik
the white
trading
boy.
houses were sending their sons to England for education in finance and commerce.
And remember
These young men
the people
learned
who were on
banking,
the throne, hold
accounting,
on,
and English commercial law. Then
the people who were on the throne in the 16th, 15th, and 17th century were black people. Don't forget that.
returned to run family businesses that operated across continents. They maintained accounts with Liverpool banks, invested in British shipping companies, and some even owned property in England. The Efik weren't just suppliers, they were investors in the system that exploited their own people. In the Americas, particularly in the Caribbean, a new class of black financiers emerged. Free people of color who accumulated capital through various means and invested it strategically. In places like Jamaica, Barbados, and Saint-Domingue, Haiti, mixed-race individuals who were freed or born free often inherited property from white fathers. Some of these individuals became plantation owners themselves, acquiring enslaved people and producing sugar, coffee, and other commodities. But the most sophisticated among them didn't just own plantations, they became creditors. Here's where it gets interesting. Sugar plantations were incredibly expensive to operate. They required constant capital for equipment, enslaved labor, and survival during the months between harvests. White planters often ran short of cash and borrowed from whoever had it, including wealthy free people of color. In Saint-Domingue before the revolution, at least 15% of enslaved people were owned by free people of color, and many more were mortgaged to them as collateral for loans. These black and mixed-race financiers weren't just wealthy, they were creditors to the white planter class, giving them significant economic leverage. When
Listen,
Britain abolished the slave trade in 1807 and slavery itself in 1833, compensation was paid, but not to the enslaved. It was paid to the slave owners in the amount of £20 million, equivalent to about £17 billion today. This was 40% of Britain's national budget, and it was financed through government bonds that took until 2015 to pay off. Who received this compensation? Not just white British planters, but also hundreds of free people of color who owned enslaved people, and African merchant families who had financial claims on the trade. Some of this compensation money was immediately reinvested into British banks, railroads, and industrial ventures. The wealth generated by slavery didn't just flow one direction, it circulated through a complex network where black financiers were both victims and, in some cases, architects of the system. By the late 18th and early 19th centuries, London was becoming the financial capital of the world. But Londonese banks didn't build themselves on British capital alone. They were funded by global networks that included significant black wealth. Let's talk about specific families. The Sancho family is one example. Ignatius Sancho was born on a slave ship in 1729, but gained his freedom and became a celebrated writer, composer, and businessman in London. He ran a grocery shop in Westminster and became the first black Briton to vote in an election. But Sancho wasn't just a cultural figure, he was connected to financial networks. His shop served wealthy clients, including members of parliament, and he extended credit to them. His letters show he understood bonds, interest rates, and investment strategies. After his death, his family continued in business, maintaining relationships with London merchants and bankers. The Barber family represents an even more direct connection. Francis Barber was Samuel Johnson's manservant and heir. When Johnson died in 1784, Barber inherited a substantial sum and property. He invested this money, sending his son to school and establishing the family in middle-class London society. His grandchildren married into families with connections to banking and trade. Within 2 generations, the Barber family wealth was intermixed with the London financial establishment, indistinguishable from British capital. But the most significant black financial presence in Britain came through the mixed-race planter families from the Caribbean. After slavery was abolished, many of these families relocated to Britain, bringing their compensation money with them. They invested in the very banks that had financed the slave trade. They bought shares in railroad companies, insurance firms, and manufacturing ventures. Their children attended Oxford and Cambridge, married into the British aristocracy, and within a generation or two, thereafter.
Now remember, Oxford was created and started by black people, and the very first professors at Oxford were black professors.
African ancestry was quietly forgotten or denied. The Bank of England itself had interesting connections. Several of its early directors had direct investments in slave trading ventures or plantations worked by enslaved people. When compensation was paid in 1833, the Bank of England administered the payments and also sold the bonds that financed them. Some of the compensation recipients immediately deposited their money back into the Bank of England or used it to buy shares in other London banks. The money flowed in circles from African trade to Caribbean plantations to London banks and back out as loans to new colonial ventures. There's also the story of Dido, Elizabeth Bell, the mixed-race great-niece of Lord Mansfield, who was the Lord Chief Justice of England. Bell lived at Kenwood House in London and was educated alongside her white cousin. While she wasn't directly involved in banking, her story illustrates how black wealth and influence operated in Georgian Britain through family connections, inheritance, and strategic marriages. Her uncle's legal decisions shaped British slavery law, and she influenced him. This wasn't a world of rigid racial barriers. It was a world where money and connection could transcend race, at least for the wealthy. By the 1850s, there were dozens of wealthy families of African descent living in Britain, many of them investing in the empire's expansion into Africa itself. When the scramble for Africa began in the 1880s, some of this money originally extracted from Africa was reinvested into colonial ventures. Companies like the Royal Niger Company.
Tu dirección de residencia te está costando caro. Te están pagando 5 veces menos que lo
The British South Africa Company and various mining operations in West and Southern Africa were partially funded by capital that had originated in African trade centuries before. The circle was complete. African wealth had funded European empires, which were now returning to extract more wealth from Africa. So if black banking dynasties were so influential, why don't we know about them? The answer is simple but disturbing. Their stories were systematically erased. The erasure began with language. As racial theories hardened in the 19th century, the British establishment became increasingly uncomfortable with the idea that black people had been financial equals or even superiors. Early accounts that described African merchants as sophisticated negotiators were rewritten in later editions to portray them as primitive traders who didn't understand the value of what they sold. The agency of African economic actors was removed from the narrative. Second, as mixed-race families integrated into British society, they often downplayed or completely hid their African ancestry. The compensation records from 1833 show hundreds of claimants with partial African descent, but by the early 20th century, their descendants had become white. Family trees were altered, portraits were painted to lighten skin tones, and inconvenient ancestors were simply not discussed. The financial wealth remained, but the origin story changed. Third, the archival record was curated. When British banks and institutions created their official histories, they emphasized European innovation and minimized external contributions. The letters, contracts, and account books that would have shown African merchants as sophisticated financial actors were either destroyed, lost, or buried in archives where few researchers would find them. It's only in recent decades, as scholars have begun systematically examining these archives, that the full picture is emerging. The University College London created a database of slave ownership that has revolutionized our understanding of who benefited from slavery. The database reveals thousands of individuals who received compensation,
Jacob.
including many with African or Caribbean ancestry. It also shows how this compensation money flowed into British institutions. At least 10% of the initial capital for several major British banks came directly from slave compensation. This money funded the Industrial Revolution, railroad construction, and imperial expansion. But here's what's truly disturbing. This erasure continues today. Walk into the Museum of London Docklands and you'll find exhibitions about the slave trade, but they focus on the suffering, not the economics. They show enslaved people as victims, but rarely discuss the black merchants who were economic actors. Visit the Bank of England Museum and you'll learn about British financial innovation, but nothing about where the capital came from. The narrative remains one of European genius and African passivity, even when the evidence contradicts it. The same pattern exists in education. British school curricula teach about the Industrial Revolution as if it was purely a product of British ingenuity, with perhaps a footnote about colonial exploitation. They don't teach that Manchester's textile mills were built with cotton picked by enslaved Africans, financed by loans from banks, capitalized with slave trade profits, some of which came from African and black Caribbean investors. They do unteach that Liverpool docks were built with bonds purchased by plantation owners of all races. They do unteach that the railroad boom was partially funded by compensation money paid to black slave owners. This erasure serves a purpose. If Britain's wealth came entirely from its own merit, then its global dominance was justified. If Britain's wealth came partially from African economic systems and was built by exploiting African labor and resources, then questions of reparation and restitution become more urgent. If black people were economically sophisticated actors who were cheated and erased, rather than primitive people who were civilized, then the entire imperial narrative collapses. Today, descendants of these black banking dynasties live all over the world, most of them unaware of their financial heritage. Some live in Britain, their African ancestry diluted and forgotten. Some live in the Caribbean and Africa, where family stories speak vaguely of wealth lost without explaining how or why. Some live in America, descendants of free people of color who invested in the same system that enslaved their relatives. The modern implications are profound. When we discuss reparations for slavery, the conversation usually focuses on government payments to descendants of enslaved people. But what about the wealth that was stolen from African merchants? What about the business relationships that were destroyed when European powers carved up Africa? What about the banking dynasties that were dismantled during colonization? These questions complicate the narrative, but also reveal the true scale of the theft. Consider this. When Britain and other European powers colonized Africa in the late 19th century, they didn't just take land, they destroyed existing economic systems. Merchant families that had operated for centuries were dispossessed. Trade routes that had functioned for millennia were disrupted. Banking systems based on trust and reputation were replaced with European institutions that excluded Africans. The knowledge of how these systems worked passed down through generations was lost. This wasn't just political colonization. It was economic erasure on a massive scale. Some historians estimate that if African economies had been allowed to develop independently, using the sophisticated systems they already had, the continent's GDP today would be comparable to Europe's. Instead, colonization extracted an estimated $30 trillion in wealth adjusted for inflation, and left behind economies designed to export raw materials rather than create value. The black banking dynasties that might have financed African industrialization were destroyed before they could do so. But here's the final twist. The descendants of these dynasties aren't all in Africa. They're in London boardrooms, on Wall Street, in Caribbean governments, and throughout the African diaspora. The wealth they generated didn't disappear, it just changed hands. Every British bank with origins in the 18th or 19th century has African wealth in its foundation. Every old British family with plantation wealth has African labor and sometimes African capital in its past. Every Caribbean elite family with roots in the free-colored class has this complicated legacy of being both oppressed and oppressor. Understanding this history doesn't provide easy answers. It doesn't mean modern descendants of mixed-race banking families should be blamed for their ancestors' choices. It doesn't mean the primary victims of slavery were anyone other than the enslaved themselves. But it does mean our understanding of who built the modern world needs to be fundamentally revised. The black banking dynasties that funded the British Empire were real. They were sophisticated, powerful, and influential. They made choices, some strategic, some moral, some horrific, that shaped the modern world. Their erasure from history wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate act by those who benefited from that erasure, and until we restore them to the historical record, we can't fully understand how our world was made, who made it, or who deserves to benefit from it. The next time someone tells you that Africa had no economic sophistication before colonization, remember the Kushite gold traders, the Malian banking houses, the Efik commercial networks, and the Caribbean financiers who held debt over white planters. The next time someone says black people were merely victims of history, remember that some black people were architects of the very systems that oppressed others. History is never simple, power is never pure, and wealth, as always, has no colorate, only has memory, and that memory has been systematically erased. It's time we remembered.
All right. So if that's true, guys, then after slavery in America, the people who were compensated were black as well, because the vast majority of the slaves in America were white. The word slave comes from the word Slavic Indo-European. Black people were prisoners of war. Period. I've gone through that before. I'm not going to do it now. Just look back at my older videos and you'll be able to see it. But it's true. The overarching reality is that black people were enslaving other people, oppressing other people. And that's some real fucking talk. So we're going to go on. If you got any questions or you got any comments, please let me know. So this is 12 minutes, and I'll be right back.
Deep letter S, but there's something in the center.
That meteor flew over today. This is what I found.
2025 was weird.
She saw something strange and unfamiliar up above.
Bro, what the fuck is that?
We seen him drop out of a leather ship.
But 2026, it's already off to a disturbing start.
We ain't seen shit yet.
A mysterious object of unknown origin.
All sorts of strange sightings that people haven't heard about, such as frost quakes, exploding trees, pink skies, and much more. Let's take a look. Most people don't even know that these exist, but they're happening more and more, and people are starting to capture them on camera.
Not that big. I still got you. Oh, that can't be real. That hurt my chest, dude. That can't be real, bro.
When the temperature drops at fast enough speeds, apparently ice underground causes earthquakes?
Hear that loud boom or feel a shake at your house yesterday? Actually called a frost quake.
It's what happens below the ground that causes that jolt or that boom.
And check this out. In some areas, it's getting so cold that trees are actually exploding. Now, when I first heard of this, I thought this has got to be fake news, right? No, it's actually a real thing. You can look it up.
The popping and cracking of trees due to the Arctic blast of air across central and eastern portions of the country. What people are hearing is a phenomenon called frost cracking.
It literally cracked.
And the trees aren't the only thing behaving strangely.
Hold on. Look at this. Okay. Look at this, guy.
So, I was told to do this.
Hard. This may work.
My hands are freezing.
One of my friends told me to do this, so I'm just trying to make it mold. Video. Ice, not ice, snow from outside.
That is not ice or snow.
So it's burning and not melting? I really can't recall the last time that I actually tried to burn a piece of ice or snow. It's never really crossed my mind, but now that we're here, all I'm really doing right now is creating a puddle on my desk. The ice is not turning black or burning, so why is the snow?
It's really not melting.
Yeah. It's barely melting at all.
It's turning black.
No way.
See it turn black at the top?
Yeah.
It smells like burnt plastic.
Oh my. No.
And while we're on the topic of cold weather, have you ever seen 16 to 20 feet of snow?
Russia was just hit with record-breaking snow, the largest snowfall they've seen since 1970, in some areas reaching up to 40 feet.
This is insane. The snow is up to like the tops of apartment buildings, completely up above many, many cars in the streets. This is more snow than I or most people have ever seen in their lifetime. This next phenomenon shouldn't even be possible, but it's happening.
I hope I can get it on video. We just had thunder snow.
Thunder snow!
This rare event isn't something that most meteorologists would expect to see more than once in a lifetime. However, it's being captured across the world. Then there was a strange event that happened in Miami just about a month and a half ago where the sky outside and the fog appeared to be completely pink.
Alright, you guys, if you know what this is, we got some purple, bright lights going on up in the sky, you guys. Tell me what this is. Look at that. You guys, it is glowing purple.
But here's where it gets even weirder. The same phenomenon was recently recorded in the UK.
Hello, I've been working for 20 minutes in the worst snowstorm of my life, but I have a bad question. Why the f is the sky pink? Bro, if I didn't have the video, no one would believe me.
Multiple users uploaded videos that almost appeared to be fake.
Have you ever in your life seen that? Look, why is the sky pink?
Some users recording the video mentioned that it doesn't feel real. It felt like they were dreaming when they went outside.
Yo, someone tell me why this guy's pink, bro. That's what I want.
Some scientists believe that this could be linked to the massive solar flares that we had recently,
This was one of the largest solar flares we've seen in 20 years, and it was directed straight towards Earth.
The bursts of radiation are the strongest solar flares so far this year. Issues flaring up back on Earth.
Which means that the solar flare actually disrupted the geomagnetic field around Earth, causing many people to see the northern lights in places that they normally wouldn't.
They can light up the sky in the form of aurora borealis in select corners of the world.
See the aurora borealis in Florida and it's turning red. Make sure you have plenty of food, water, and don't go outside.
But this is where it gets tricky. Is that solar flare the reason the temperatures are getting so cold? Is it possibly the cause of the pink skies that we're seeing? Has something changed on Earth that scientists and media outlets aren't telling us? Whether that explains what's been happening around the world or not, the timing is hard to ignore.
Nobody's talking about moringa, and honestly, that makes me angry. You walk past it in the market. You hear the name here.
They're not even moving. It looks like it's hanging over us. It feels like it could just drop and crush everything. I've never seen the sky do this. This is wrong.
A strange jellyfish-shaped cloud hangs in the sky in India, and if you look closely, something appears to be coming out of the bottom. The cloud itself even appears to flash a couple times. And then, just like that, the cloud begins to move further and further away until it disappears in the background. Many of these cloud sightings left people shook because they've never seen clouds in the sky that look like this.
What the f is this? What the f is it?
Even if it is a natural phenomenon, people aren't used to seeing it. And then there's the lights.
That is moving. Like, literally. Look how... Oh, shit. That's crazy. Look.
What the f is that?
These are not satellites, and are not meteors. They're appearing out of nowhere, and they're just coming into the sky.
Many people have captured video and reported lights being in the clouds like this.
I can see it on my camera pretty good.
There down, see?
I got it on my...
There's Mac.
A lot argue that they're probably spotlights from down below. However, many argue that spotlights on the ground don't travel miles and out of eyesight from one location to another.
I don't know Morse code, do you?
This is Morse code, man. No, they can't do that with a drone.
Right, how would you do that? And now they're all going back to the same spot? I had to water this, and he's messing with me.
I'm gonna get Mr. P.
There's that wind coming from now.
Okay, pause. Did you see that one? If we slow the footage down, you'll see an orangish red orb pass by so fast that you'd miss it if you blink.
Where's that wind coming from now?
Also, doesn't this pattern of lights oddly resemble the orb shapes that were taking place in the sky? People captured orbs, letting out smaller orbs. So the question now is, are these lights coming from inside of the clouds?
No, as soon as you stopped recording, dude, there goes another one. I just seen two go by. You need to record, dude. They're going like forward and then backwards, and they're like spaced. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. This is not like those party beams in front of a building, casino that crisscross. I've never seen anything that could do something like this. I'm being baffled, absolutely baffled.
So thanks for watching. Strange sightings like these are happening more and more often, so be sure to stay tuned. I have a lot more coming, and if you've seen something unusual or captured something that you can't explain, be sure to send over a video to anotherstrangevideo@gmail.com, and I will see you next time.
Now, I don't know. I have never seen any of this. Oh, what's up, Billy Light? Hold on. What's going on?
What's up, bro? How you, man?
You got it. So we were just finishing up a video about odd things happening in the sky. And to be honest with you, I find it hard to swallow. You know what I mean? The same as the white folks always saying some dumb shit. But, the niggas, we don't see shit. They're like, well, where's it at? When that spaceship supposed to have happened, I went outside and looked up. I didn't see shit.
You talking about 3-Eye Atlas?
Yeah, right. And this bullshit that we just seen, I'm going to call it bullshit because I don't know. I don't have any proof of it. I have not seen it myself to confirm it. Right. So, I'm calling it bullshit. But then again, who knows? Now, never mind me with the blanket on, because it's freezing here.
Wow.
Yeah, like 68, 72. I know that's not cold, but yeah. I know y'all want to
68, 72 below in the shot.
At night.
No, you didn't hear what I said. I'm gonna say it again. 68 to 72 below in the shot.
Ah, okay, yeah. But anyways, I'm bundled down and bundled up, bundled sideways. I'm trying to break this freezing cold. Not freezing cold, but this chill.
Cold enough.
Yeah, man, it's cold enough. We all bundled up and bundled down. You got down jackets on and shit. What the fuck? I don't know if people getting off of that boat, man. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with them?
When you lift all over the place, man, what's cold or hot becomes relative to where you from and what you got to get used to as a result of being from somewhere else.
Right. So the lady that owns the Comado here, she was like, you're not cold? I said, hell yeah. I've been here 100 years. So, I'm going to get used to this shit. And I'm shaking like a leaf, man. Yeah, man. So, and then I'd be right up under my wife, man, when we in bed. You're like, get your black ass off me. Get them cold ass damn feet. It's like a block of ice. I was like, well, I'm right there, and I'm still got my feet right there where her behind part is. So I'm getting nice and toasted. So but we've been covering quite a bit. The last video before that was dealing with the fact that black people were intimately involved in the slave trade. Believe it or not, know it or not, accept it or not, and they were intimately involved in the wealth generation of England, the Bank of London, and all of that. So, whether people believe it or not, know it or not, accept it or not, the evidence is on the table. All you got to do is listen to it. And if anybody got the ball to come onto my show and show otherwise, then I give you $10,000. Cause I got this shit.
Well, when you gonna pay me? You gonna pay me now or later?
Nah, I'll pay you later, but you ain't coming with nothing.
Hey, hold on, don't go there. And we've discussed this before. I'm not gonna go heavy in, but I told you about the black nobility and how they sprayed maybe in the late 1800s in the Cabbage Patch Kids. That's a whole other time. I'm not going to steal your thunder, so I'm just
no. I feel you. But we have to realize, and I think you were in on that video, the Jaga Seth, where the world global economic power was not only in Africa and India, because India is the global sister, really the global daughter of Africa, and you cannot deny the fact that who was on the throne in the 16, 17, and 1800s, and our rule didn't break until 1880 something, and that's when these sick ass, perverted, nasty ass, pale skin took over. You can't call them white because they weren't white. So so we got to look at all of that evidence, put it on the table, examine it, and rule out the bullshit. Black people weren't slaves in America, or there in England we're prisoners of war. And when you look at it honestly and openly, how can you not see that? So so hold on. So what we're gonna do, bro, if you don't mind, and unless you got something to say, we're gonna go on to the next one. Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead, brother. Do you?
So the white man kicks 1-year-old baby in the back while yelling racial slurs. And I know that guy. He's a real decent guy, man. Richard Taylor. Slurred and Stewart.
Where this happened?
So yeah. So let's do this. It's on, huh?
Wait, hold on. Before you started, where did it happen?
This happened in the case of the 31-year-old Rick Trace, who was charged and given a light sentence after attacking a 1-year-old boy. That motherfucker would have been dead, man. I don't know. It had to be more recent because he's not going to be talking about something 2 years ago. February. No, that's when his show took place. So talking about it. So I'm going to assume that was like between the 1st and the 6th of February.
Oh, so just a few days ago.
Right. So he ain't gonna be talking about nothing that happened a month ago. You know. But yeah, I'll be right back. 7 minutes.
Okay, brother. Got you.
Derek was all right after getting kicked in the back by this man, 31-year-old Rick Trace. This happened at a Dillon's grocery store near Hillside and Douglas earlier this week. The family says after Trace hit the boy, he started yelling obscenities and racial slurs at them. We talked to the child's mom, who says she wants answers from the suspect.
What grown person would, even if you do have that much hate for anybody, why would you attack a baby? He can barely walk.
Now, police and the family are calling it a racially motivated crime, and all has more from what the mother had to say in a story to attend.
The boy's family is still in shock over the situation, saying it doesn't make sense. I talked to the mother who didn't want to be identified on camera. She says they just hope the man is punished appropriately.
A grown man kicking a 1-year-old, I think it did serious damage to my son.
Wichita police arrested Rick Trace at this Dillon's off Hillside and Douglas Sunday. The boy's mother says Trace walked up behind them and kicked her son in the back, telling him to go on the floor while he continued to yell at them.
They could say that was disrespectful towards another race.
She said she was at the store early in the morning with her son and daughter.
He barely made it into the store and he kicked me from behind in his back. So all I heard was a loud thud and my daughter screaming.
The mother says a bystander kept Trace from leaving after kicking the boy.
He tried to get away, but a bystander seen it and tackled him down.
She says Dillon's employees and others also came over and helped to hold Trace down until police showed up. The mother says this was a racially motivated hate crime.
I'm just really confused. I was going to ask him, why?
She says her son was checked out by EMS crews and doesn't have any injuries. They say his coat may have helped with that. The family wanted to thank everyone who saw the crime and stepped in.
I'm 7 months pregnant. So I was upset. I could have went into labor. He could have did something. Just the what ifs, like whether he would have had a weapon or anything. Had my son been turned around, he could have kicked my son in the face. And it's just a lot of stuff. They just makes you think, makes you not want to take your kids nowhere.
Dillon says they are very disheartened by the situation, and the company has been in contact with the family and gave them some treat bags and toys for the boy.
Some treat bags and toys for the boy. I think that makes everything okay. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. And This happened in Wichita, Kansas, some years back, but it's kind of relevant to the racial climate that is going on today, where that Edward Scissorhands looking meth head walked up to a pregnant mother who had her 11-year-old daughter as well as her 1-year-old toddler and kicked the toddler in the back while also yelling a bunch of racial slurs. Now, people came to their assistance and held them down until police came. Now, he was arrested, but he was released. They gave him like a $50,000 bond with some cookie cutter charges, and he was then arrested later on. What was he arrested for? Possession of controlled substance. However, he did go to court. He went to court and he was sentenced. I'm going to tell you about that sentence right after a word from one of our sponsors, the American Moralist Society. Just watch.
At home relaxing and you hear the knock on the door of youth in the community who are raised with good morals and ethics. They are not there to rob you or steal your car. They are there to inquire if you have any chores that they may complete for you, like mowing your lawn, trimming your hedges, painting, or other small jobs, so that they can earn extra money, and this allows you time to relax, with less wear and tear on your knees and back. It's time to make morals and ethics a part of the school curricula for all America children. Join the Great American Moralist Movement. Join today.
And for more information as well as to join, click on that link that is in the description box. But this guy, Race Tripp, went to court, and they're calling him a model as well. A former model went to court, and he was sentenced. Just take a look at this short clip, and they're going to detail this sentence and why. And in my opinion, it's definitely a slap on the wrist.
New at 6, Trace Ripp has been 32 months in prison. He's the man who pled guilty to kicking an African-American toddler at a Dillon store in 2018. The child was not seriously injured. He was also found guilty of possession of meth.
So 32 months, basically 2.5 years for child abuse or some cookie cutter charge. They didn't charge him with the federal hate crime, which I don't know why that hate crime exists. If a white man can come to a grocery store and kick a black toddler in the back, all the while yelling racial slurs, then what is a hate crime? And they're almost trying to justify it by saying, well, the child was not seriously hurt. Does that matter? What if he was seriously hurt? Would that make a difference? Yet and still, this family has to continuously deal with the trauma of this man kicking their son. Now, mind you, he's out by now because he pleaded guilty in 2020. So he's out right now, probably somewhere, in a meth lab, spewing racial ideology while, burning his fingertips on meth pipe. But this is what regular people have to do. And keep in mind, she was pregnant, so anything could have happened to her. Now, also, you got to keep in mind, that was a cowardly act. Would he have done that if a man was with that woman? And this is another characteristic of the way racist cowards, where they will always attack the most vulnerable of the community. The women, the children, the elderly, the handicapped. Very rarely do you see these racist attacks levied against men. And when you do see them, you see quick, swift, and exact retribution by the victim. In this case, the victim had to wait for the court of law, which in my opinion did not do its due diligence and punish the man appropriately. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that sentence in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for liking, watching, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings.
All right. Yeah, so it did happen quite a bit ago, brother. So I apologize for that. But then again, it remains to be seen as to how these animals are just doing what they want to do when they want to do it. And the father, man, if I were the father of that kid, man, look, I'd just be in prison. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have killed him, but he would have got his ass tore off.
Yeah. Well, you know, in a lot of cases, and it was crazy how if that woman even has a man, he's not present to even be interviewed to say what he would have done had he been there.
Right.
So that's a testament to how much our women really need us and how we need to get it together so that these things don't happen as much. Because like Brother Taylor said, you know, if they're gonna attack our vulnerable and you're not there to protect them, then it's almost, you know, of course. Now I'm not saying she don't have a man or she can't keep one,
Right.
but you know,
Right.
I mean, if she's 7 months pregnant, she's supposed to be at home, bro.
Right.
Unless it's an emergency or something she got to be at. Other than that, she's supposed to be at home. You know what I'm saying? So I have to
Yeah, she's
consider
2 months away from giving birth.
exactly.
I agree with that.
At that point, a baby's full term. I mean, it'll be considered premature, but you know,
Right.
the fetus is already developed at that point.
Right. Right.
So she's supposed to be home resting, not out and about.
So here we got white babies are now the minority in America. They've been the minority since day one. There ain't never been a time where these motherfuckers were the majority of anything. They playing that game, the Wizard of Oz game, and they blowing smoke up everybody's ass into thinking that there's more than them around, and they're not. Out of 8 billion people, I'm going to put it at about 80 million white folks on the planet after taking the vaccine that has catastrophically chemically castrated them and killed them. And it's reported that here in the background, you can see it right here. You can't see it, but it says that the majority of people who took the vaccine were white, 71%, 19% black, and the others more down the line. But I don't even think that's true. I think that the vast majority, 85% of white folks took it because they didn't know any better. We knew better, and we knew about the Tuskegee Institute, thing, and how that get played out. We ain't no goddamn fool, But white folks want to play the Wizard of Oz game, but if you pull back the curtain, you will see that they ain't shit. So here we got white babies. Hold on, let me put it back a little bit. Them folks are starting to panic that non-white babies are now the majority in America. Hold on, I'll be right back. It's only 7 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the news is sounding the alarm. They sound the alarm because white births has dipped under 50%. They are very concerned about this. Let's go and check that out.
White births in the U.S. have fallen below 50% for the first time ever. That's among the findings in a new study published today by professors from the Zucker School of Medicine at Hofstra Northwell. One of those researchers, Dr. Amos Grunebaum, calls it a historic milestone.
Minority women who are now the majority. The majority of births in the United States for the first time.
This study analyzed CDC data on 33 million births in the U.S., tracking trends by the mother's race and ethnicity. It revealed white births at 49.6%, while other groups taken together, including Hispanic, Black, and Asian, made up 50.4% of all births. The analysis also offered an explanation for the shifting demographics.
Among Hispanic women, they have children usually at an earlier age, and they have more children than white women have. White women usually delay childbirth. It's a known fact, and they have less children.
coupled with well-documented disparities when it comes to maternal health for minority women and children, Dr. Grunebaum says these findings aren't just statistics. He says current efforts to restrict immigration and cut Medicaid hurt the very women keeping American births alive and growing the country.
If you really want to increase birth, if you want to have more babies, as this government has repeatedly said they want to, then we need to address these issues.
And I will say this: more and more of them the numbers will keep declining. Let me tell you why they're going to keep declining. A lot of them are used to comfort, okay? And because they're used to comfort, that would further make them stop having children, because Donald Trump and his particular administration is not making them comfortable at all. Now, when it comes to other groups of people, we're used to not being in comfort, especially black folks. We're used to not being in comfort. So it doesn't bother us to extend our family, whatever, because we do what we got to do to make it every day. Now, they say Latinos have more children than black Americans. And the reason why black Americans kind of slowed down having children, unfortunately, we took on some of the ideology of these folks. Let's just call it what it is. Because it wasn't always like that. We had black, couples that had 10, 12 kids. And it wasn't just like an anomaly, because a lot of people was doing 7 kids, 5 kids, But you got to do that within a marriage. And the reason why our numbers have tanked is because of the lack of marriage. Because, in Hispanic families, they push more marriage. And I believe that we need to get back to pushing more marriage and family creation and expanding the family with our children. But we need marriages in the community. Everybody just can't be single doing whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Your community can't be built off of the single people. And then, y'all out here making children, but y'all not creating no family structure for those children. Those children need their mama and their daddy every day, not every other weekend or whatever. You can't parent like that. You just can't. When we have our children, it should be in marriages. It shouldn't be just some random female or your girlfriend or whatever. No, it should be within a marriage. And as men, we can control that. We definitely control that. We lay in our seed. You have to look at your seed as precious, and you just don't lay your seed in any old woman. You have to look at it like that. Not every woman deserves that. And sure, every woman don't deserve to get pregnant by you. That's why I don't understand y'all with that. Just getting any old woman pregnant, or you letting any old man you just met get you pregnant. I don't get that. I don't get it, because you don't even know their health like that. You know how many people, catching HIV right now? That's why we need to have healthy marriages and have children. The Hispanics on average are having 3. Black folks on average are having 2.
Okay.
We need to get up to 3. It'd be nice if we had 4. But we got to make sure that we here and all that, and we're not going to be here if we don't have children. Once again, you're having children, but the circumstance you're having your children under is not good, a lot of you. We need to be married. We need to be building families. It's just that simple. Or you will wither on the vine. That is a fact. Them folks are concerned and scared because of the way they have treated people all over the earth. And they're going to have to, pay for that. And they don't want to deal with that. You can't keep treating people the way they've been treating people hundreds of years and thinking when they become a minority that people may want to have to get their lick back. Not to say that's Black Americans' idea to do something like that, but some people are like, yeah, man, now it's my turn to get at you, but what you did to me and my family. But, the folks are concerned. That's why they doing a lot of these mass deportations, because they read. I mean, they could try, but it's not going to work. I keep saying it, it's not going to work. They're gonna get people out, but it's not going to be everybody. They're not going to get everybody out in time for Trump, be in office. It would never happen. There's not enough of them out there to do that. They can only get so many. So yes, the demographics have changed in America and are going to continue to change. And that means the halls of Congress got to change. That means the Senate got to change. The Supreme Court, everything got to change. It's all white, party. Yeah, that day is coming to an end.
All right, so you got any thoughts about that, bro?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into that. First of all, we got a lot of white women only dealing with brothers. It is a fact that the white man's sperm count is very low. Now, going back to what I said before you showed this clip about the Cabbage Patch, I've heard, this was something I heard. Now, I'm not going to say that is true or not. I'm just talking about what I've heard, and people can further research that. It has been said that these Cabbage Patch women who have been cloned can only mate with. It has been said that these Cabbage Patch women can only mate with melanated men. This is something I heard. I didn't substantiate it, so don't say that I said it. Right. Now, with that said, with all the gay men, with all the brothers that's doing this with them, and all the people opting not to have children, it's just basically a legacy that's playing itself out, because anybody who knows anything knows, as a people, they have an expiration date. So they basically doing it themselves. There are plenty of videos. I used to see them all the time. I don't see them anymore, maybe because now YouTube is more censored than it ever been. But back in the days when YouTube was, you could put anything up there as long as it wasn't actual sex. There used to be videos all the time of white women saying they're only going to deal with brothers because they know that they're going out. And this would be regular white girls. I'm not talking about sophisticated scientists in a laboratory. I'm talking about regular white girls, run-of-the-mill ones, the ones that, even if they don't live in the hood, they be in the hood. And, they deal with brothers. So, if they know that their time is up, and this is one of the ways they're going to stay on top. And they're going to get washed out quick, because it only takes 2 generations to wash them out. It takes us about 8 to wash us out. So it is. And that it's just a legacy. It's just a prophecy fulfilling itself at the end of the day.
Right. Well, let me throw a little bit of butter and pepper on it. Now, there was a study done by Kaiser Foundation. And, the word on the street is that black people are killing their baby wholesale. That the number of babies killed was like 16 million over a 30-year period, according to, the report. Now, I found out that, just like always, white folks love to fucking lie. Out of the 50 states, bro, 36 reported that white folks, out of the 36 reporting states, white folks killed their babies en masse more than black people. You're looking at 36 states, and it's about maybe 5 black or 4 black. It wasn't nothing less than 4. That's astounding. There are more white folks on drugs. There are more white folks and their fathers not taking care of their kids. There are more white folks on welfare. There are more white folks. These are some nasty, lazy motherfuckers. And they kill their baby more so than we do. But if you listen to the news, you swear up and down, Niggas are killing their baby. That's not true. Out of the 50 states, 36 reported, 4 only were black people dominating and killing their baby. The other, what is that? 32 were white led. Ain't that a bit?
Yeah, the reason why you don't hear, I heard something like that years ago, a long time ago. And the reason why those statistics, for the most part, don't get counted into the general toll of the numbers is because most of the white ladies that get abortions go to private doctors that don't report that they went there. Like they'll say that they have a broken pinky toe or some shit like that, but meanwhile they really went there for an abortion, and the doctors just cover it up. They'll give them post abortion medicine and stuff like that, and write it up as like painkillers for the toe being broken.
Right, and it's actually an abortion pill, right?
I'm sorry, brother.
No, the pill is actually RU46. What was it called? An abortion pill? That the doctor, white doctor, giving these white girls, actually young girls, teenagers, and the adults, to whatever extent that might be, these abortion pills, and that's not being reported, and it's still making it look like, even though with the ones that were reported, if you find that out, that 32 out of the 50, because you still got, or 36, you still got, we got 14 states, and if that's the rate in which it's going, you can literally span that out and say 32 states are reporting an overwhelming death rate for white babies in the abortion clinic, and you can say, well, if 32 or 4 out of that 50, you can add another. I'm going to say 10. The other 14, out of that 14, more than 1/3 of that, it'll be what? 4, 8, 12. It'll be like 8 more to the stat. So you're looking at 40 white folks killing their baby out of the 50 states, and 9, I would say, would be black folks, or the 10 remaining. So it's really a skewed, number, but it's always about making white folks look good. It's never the case. It's never the truth.
You remember this saying? There's lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Right. I mean, I don't give a fuck, man. They can do whatever they want to do, but we know the deal. We know the story, and we know what it's all about. It's about keeping that pristine image of white folks out in the media and trying to make them look like they're the queen bee and the king wasp. I don't know, whatever the fuck. In the world, they ain't shit. But hold on.
King Fly eating shit.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So fuck them. So here we go. Why the decline in Western world will accelerate in 2026? Now this is the month where the unit currency comes on board. Now that started on February the 2nd, and the Afrocoin is in effect now. And now on February the 26th of this month, the United States of Africa will be on board. It will be live. It's live now, but it'll be officially live on February the 26th, 2026. And so what we're going to be looking at right here is why the decline in Western world will accelerate in 2026. And you're going to hear that white folk can't think about anybody else being on top. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, brother. I don't like cutting your wisdom. Finish your point, then I'll make mine.
Okay, so we got 12 minutes here, and then I'll be right back.
The empire is crumbling faster than they can hide it, and 2026 will be the year desperation turns into acceleration. Watch what happens when power gets nervous. Assalamu alaikum, it's Sister Samila. Today we need to talk about something that the mainstream media will not tell you, something that Western leaders are desperately trying to mask with propaganda and distractions. We need to discuss why the decline of the Western world, which has been happening in slow motion for decades, is about to hit accelerate in 2026, and why their own desperation will be the catalyst that speeds up their collapse. Allah says in the Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, verse 41, "Corruption has appeared throughout the land and sea by what the hands of people have earned, so he may let them taste part of what they have done, that perhaps they will return." The West has sown seeds of exploitation, domination, and injustice for centuries, and now the harvest of their actions is coming due, and it is bitter. Let me paint the picture clearly so you understand what we are witnessing. For the past 500 years, the Western world, primarily Europe and the United States, has maintained global dominance through a combination of military force, economic manipulation, political interference, and cultural imperialism. They colonized nations, extracted resources, enslaved populations, installed puppet governments, and created financial systems that kept the global majority in perpetual debt and dependency. This was not accidental. This was strategic. This was the foundation of their wealth and power. But empires do not last forever. History shows us this pattern repeatedly. Rome fell. The Ottoman Empire fell. The British Empire, on which the sun supposedly never set, fell. And now we are watching in real time as the American Empire and its European satellites enter the terminal phase of their decline. The signs have been visible for years. Crumbling infrastructure, declining life expectancy, rising inequality, political polarization, loss of manufacturing capacity, mounting debt, endless wars that drain resources without producing victories, and populations that no longer believe in the institutions that govern them. These are not signs of strength. These are symptoms of systemic decay. But here is where it gets critical. Declining powers do not go quietly. They do not accept their diminishing status with grace. They do not step aside and allow a multipolar world to emerge peacefully. Instead, they get desperate. They get aggressive. They lash out. And that desperation, that aggressive flailing, accelerates their own collapse. Look at what the United States just did to Venezuela. They imposed brutal sanctions designed to strangle the Venezuelan economy, starve the population, and force regime change. Why? Because Venezuela dared to assert sovereignty over its own resources, dared to challenge American hegemony in its own hemisphere, dared to build relationships with countries like China and Russia that the U.S. considers rivals. The cruelty was intentional. The suffering was the point. The message was clear. Defy us, and we will make your people suffer until you submit. But here's what the architects of this strategy failed to calculate. The world is watching. The global majority, the billions of people in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East are watching the U.S. weaponize starvation, weaponize medicine, weaponize the financial system against any nation that refuses to bow. And they are drawing conclusions. They are recognizing that the so-called rules-based international order is nothing but a euphemism for do what we say or suffer the consequences. This recognition is accelerating the formation of alternative systems. BRICS is expanding. Nations are conducting trade in their own currencies instead of the dollar. Countries are building infrastructure partnerships that bypass Western institutions. The global South is organizing in ways that were impossible a decade ago because technology and communication have advanced, and the illusion of Western benevolence has been shattered completely.
You've tried AI that writes junk. This one, it actually gets it right. Designer doesn't just throw words together.
Now let us talk about Europe, because their desperation is just as palpable and just as dangerous. Europe is facing an energy crisis, a demographic crisis, an economic crisis, and an identity crisis all at the same time. Their populations are aging, their birth rates are collapsing, their economies are stagnant, their energy costs have skyrocketed since they foolishly tied their energy security to geopolitical games they could not win. So what What is Europe doing? They are getting more aggressive in Africa. They are trying to reimpose neo-colonial relationships under new names. They call it partnerships and development aid. But it is the same old extraction with a fresh coat of paint. They are trying to control African resources, African labor, African markets, because without Africa, Europe has no path forward. Their entire economic model depends on cheap resources and exploitable labor from the global south. But here's the problem. Africans are no longer accepting this arrangement. A new generation of African leaders and populations are rejecting the terms that kept their grandparents in chains. They are kicking out French military bases. They are renegotiating mining contracts. They are building relationships with China, Russia, Turkey, and Gulf states that offer better terms than the Europeans ever did. The African continent is awakening to its own power. And that awakening is terrifying to Europe because it means the end of their comfortable lifestyle built on African exploitation. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Imran, verse 26, "Say, O Allah, owner of sovereignty, you give sovereignty to whom you will, and you take sovereignty away from whom you will. You honor whom you will, and you humble whom you will." The sovereignty the West once held is being redistributed, and their humbling has begun. Now let me explain why 2026 specifically will accelerate this decline. We have several converging factors creating a perfect storm. First, the economic contradictions in the West are becoming unsustainable. The United States is carrying over $35 trillion in debt with no credible plan to address it. Their solution is to print more money, which devalues the dollar, which undermines confidence in the currency that has been the foundation of their global power. Every nation watching this is calculating their exit strategy from dollar dependency. Second, the military overextension is catching up with them. The U.S. cannot sustain simultaneous confrontations with China, Russia, Iran, and whoever else they decide to antagonize this week. Their weapons stockpiles are depleted from proxy wars. Their recruitment numbers are down. Their adversaries have studied their tactics and developed countermeasures. The era of uncontested American military dominance is over, and everyone knows it. Third, the internal cohesion of Western societies is fracturing. People in America and Europe are tired. They are tired of funding wars they do not support. They are tired of watching their own infrastructure crumble while billions go to foreign interventions. They are tired of declining living standards while their governments prioritize maintaining global empire. This internal discontent will manifest in political instability, which further weakens their ability to project power externally. Fourth, the propaganda is losing effectiveness. The Western media apparatus that once controlled the global narrative is being challenged by alternative voices, independent journalists, and people on the ground sharing real-time information. They can no longer manufacture consent as easily as they once did. They can no longer hide their crimes behind carefully crafted stories. The truth is getting out, and the truth is damning. Here's the bottom line. The West faces 3 potential paths forward in 2026, and each one accelerates their decline in different ways. Option 1, they escalate aggression in a desperate attempt to reassert dominance. This means more sanctions, more coups, more military interventions, more economic warfare. This path accelerates their decline because it forces the rest of the world to unite against them faster, builds alternative systems more rapidly, and depletes their own resources more quickly. It is the path of the drowning man who drags others down in panic. Option 2, they attempt to negotiate a managed decline, accepting a multipolar world where they are one power among many rather than the hegemon. This is the rational choice, but it requires humility they do not possess, and a willingness to accept reduced living standards at home that their populations will resist violently. This path still leads to decline, but potentially with less global catastrophe. Option 3, they double down on internal repression and external chaos, attempting to maintain power through increasingly authoritarian measures at home and increasingly reckless actions abroad. This is the most dangerous path because cornered empires with nuclear weapons and nothing to lose make catastrophic decisions. This path accelerates decline into potential collapse with massive collateral damage. Based on current behavior and historical patterns of declining empires, option 1 blending into option 3 seems most likely. They will escalate aggression, face resistance, escalate further, face more resistance, and the cycle will continue until something breaks catastrophically. What does this mean for those of us watching from the global majority? It means 2026 will be turbulent. It means we will see see more desperate actions from Western powers trying to claw back control. It means we will see more sanctions, more coups, more propaganda, more violence directed at any nation or movement that challenges their authority. But it also means their grip is weakening. Every desperate action reveals weakness rather than strength. Every overreach accelerates the formation of alternatives. Every act of aggression pushes more nations toward independence. For Black folks specifically, both in America and in the diaspora, this decline creates both danger and opportunity. The danger is that we will be scapegoated as the empire crumbles, blamed for internal failures, targeted with increased repression. History shows that declining empires often turn their violence inward toward marginalized populations. The opportunity is that the global reconfiguration creates space for new alliances, new economic relationships, new political possibilities. As the West weakens, Africa rises. As dollar dominance fades, alternative trade systems emerge. As Western propaganda loses credibility, our voices gain platforms. We must be strategic. We must be organized. We must build relationships across the global South. We must invest in our own institutions, our own media, our own economic networks, our own political education. We must prepare for turbulence while positioning ourselves for the world that emerges after the current order collapses. The decline of the Western world will accelerate in 2026, not because of external enemies, but because of their own contradictions, their own greed, their own refusal to accept a world where they are not dominant. They built their power on exploitation, and exploitation is not sustainable. They built their wealth on extraction, and the wells are running dry. They built their influence on propaganda, and the lies are being exposed. Allah reminds us in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 83, that home of the hereafter we assign to those who do not desire exaltedness upon the earth or corruption, and the good end is for the righteous. The exaltedness the West pursued through oppression is coming to an end, and the righteous who oppose their corruption will inherit the future. Watch carefully what happens in 2026. Watch how desperation manifests in policy. Watch how decline accelerates through overreach. Watch how the global majority responds to aggression with unity. And position yourself accordingly, because we are living through a historical transition that will define the next century.
All right. Any thoughts about it, bro? That was deep.
Yeah. No, I pretty much said the same thing she was saying without the explanation. Right. But you can go to the next one unless you got something to say.
Yeah, like I always say, evil will always destroy itself in the end, and white folks don't see it.
No, they see it.
Well, yeah, right. Let me
can see.
I digress. They don't want to see it because the handwriting is right there on the fucking wall.
Exactly. Imagine being a Klansman in the 50s and all your granddaughters got half black babies.
Say being a Klansman in the 50s?
Yeah. Imagine being a Klansman in the 50s and you're a grandfather, even a great grandfather now. Half your family is black.
Right. Yeah,
it's happening.
Right. It's clear daylight. But the idea is that white folks, do you want to face it? And the idea, they don't. They rather believe in the what do you call it? In the fantasy of it all. I'm white. You're a nigga. All you niggas that ain't white, y'all can kiss my ass. Come over here, boy. And shine my shoes. Like, bitch, pow! what the fuck are you talking to? No, man. That shit was played out back then. We didn't just say, y'all's about, I be the coming, and I'm going to shine them shoes right up.
You pissing me off.
They were being killed. Huh?
You pissing me off. Don't ever talk like that again.
I feel you, but you know how it is, and how they want it to be, and how they think it is. But the idea is that never happened to whatever degree that may have been. But for the greater part, we have always fought back. I'm being serious as a heart attack. We have always fought back. Fuck this movie bullshit where you see slaves, 10 years a slave or some shit, and the black women, yeah, and the black women are getting Oscars for playing the maid and getting fucked in the ass with Halle Berry. You know what I mean? Come on, man. That shit is played out. We are the best actors. We're the best at everything. And if truth be told, we run it all. To be honest with you, you know, just like in the thing that they were saying that that black money turned white over time. You know what I mean? If I can say it like that without sounding, you know, kind of strange. But it is what it is, and what is happening is that you know it's fading back to black. It got to. There's no other choice. So we're coming up on this last one because this one is nothing. I'm not going to be looking for nothing here. And then we got 3X videos that I'm going to be playing. And this one is 13 minutes. And I'll be right back.
Oh,
What is happening?
2026 is already off to a bizarre start.
This is not what I would expect to see.
From record-breaking low temperatures,
The sap inside gets so cold that it just explodes.
And I think everybody's to their breaking point.
strange sightings,
There's just these things just kind of sitting around.
what is actually going on, and some shocking phenomenon being captured around the world that's hard to explain.
Que no van a hacer temas grandes.
Look at that, bro. Look at it.
Today we're going to take a look at all these strange clips being uploaded right now online together, so let's dive in.
80 million Americans who are once again facing dangerously cold conditions.
We've all seen snow before, right? No big deal. However, the amount of ice and record-breaking low temperatures happening across the United States is absolutely insane.
A triple threat of blinding snow, life-threatening cold, and ice.
North Carolina is reporting more than 1,000 traffic accidents.
Currently, parts of Nashville, Tennessee has been without power for 6 days now. Oh,
What happened?
entire cities were blasted with ice storms. Not snowstorms, ice.
Yes, this truck is destroyed. We have this up here. Seconds ago, I literally said I need to move my car.
Bro. These ice storms were so bad that they destroyed neighborhoods, downed power lines, and more.
The sap inside gets so cold that it just explodes.
Oh,
Day number 5. No power.
Some people are on day 7 now with no power, and the videos being uploaded are wild.
Never ain't got no power. Goddamn winter storm. Gotta make it do what it do. Day number 8. No power. And my buddy has become my best friend.
And it's not just one area. In some homes, water's freezing the moment it comes out of the faucet.
That's not ice.
And in others, water pipes are bursting.
Bitch, pipe burst. Think the insurance company will cover that up? All that water frozen. That's the toilet. That's a real thing right there. Whole house full of ice.
Bro, this is some out of a movie. It's over.
Entire streets have turned into what looks like frozen lakes.
You wanna know how bad it is? You wanna know how bad it is? You wanna know how bad it is?
Cuanto más te quedas en casa, menos ganas tienes de salir. Y cuanto más te quedas, más pesada se siente todo.
Look, now I done lost my damn self.
And even delivery drivers are having a hard time dropping off packages.
Are you kidding me?
And in some places, people are reporting hail the size of tennis balls.
I've never seen that like that.
And then it got even stranger. It actually snowed in Florida.
Worked here 35 years in Florida itself. I have never seen the word snow in a zone forecast in the Bay Area until about 20 minutes ago.
For a lot of people, this was the first time that they ever experienced snow in their life. And as a native Floridian, we don't get freeze alerts this far south, like, ever. So I wanted to test the waters. Literally. I left the cup outside just to see if it would freeze because it said that it would drop below freezing temperatures overnight, and this is what I found.
Froze last night. South Florida. Fucking wild. Look at that.
But that's not the only thing freezing.
So yesterday it wasn't frozen solid because we had cooled down, but now it's frozen solid. Look at them. They just frozen in time and they all survived.
Look at it. It's frozen stiff. Dude, that is insane. And if you didn't think that this video could get any weirder, this is where it takes a strange turn. Do you remember last week I showed you guys that people thought the snow was artificial? It wouldn't melt when being held up to a lighter. Well, now people are taking it a step farther. Many people have been analyzing the snow under microscopes to try and see if they see any strange anomalies.
Microscope snow test. Look at this. Perfectly clean slope. Party. There's nothing on that, right? Look at this. You see the clear stuff? You see that? That's all we're going to use. Ready? Just to prove y'all these cells are on here. This is insane. I'm not even going to touch it. Watch. Oh, no. I'm just saying, man. What is that? Where's a black dot? I mean, what the heck, man? Just saying, dude, it's kind of weird. Not to mention the fact that it hasn't even melted hardly. Like, there's not even hardly any water in here. Yeah, you can see some right there, but look, this thing was completely full to the rim, dude. It just makes you wonder, don't it?
One person even melted the snow, sent a sample into a lab, and posted the results online.
All right, we're going to melt down this plastic snow, and we are going to get the lab results. Make sure you guys stick around to the end to see what is actually going on with the snow that is falling from the sky.
Seems to be melting fairly good. I don't know if I see any water yet, but it's definitely going down. All right, we are boiling the absolute snot out of this snow, so I'm very, very curious of what's going to remain at the bottom. Black stuff in here, which is kind of interesting. I don't know what that is. A lot of people talk about nanoparticles and all this stuff coming from chemtrails. Who knows? Who knows? But let's see what happens. All right, it is completely evaporated, and there is some residue at the bottom that we're going to scrape up now.
Now look, aluminum, high, 41.7, 9.3 barium, strontium 8.6, lead 15.4, mercury 3.6, sulfur compounds 47.2, nitrates 11.1, and pH of 4. That's very acidic, if I'm not mistaken.
And this is where it gets really weird. There was even a news report of a woman that was posting claiming that she knows the snow is fake, and she claims that she was threatened.
A new debate is heating up online, this time about the snow itself, and it has led to possible death threats. Two Memphis City Council members, Pearl Walker and Yolanda Cooper Sutton, shared social media posts questioning whether the snow that fell across the city was real or possibly man-made.
I had a cousin to a chunk of the snow, and it was dissolving, but water was not dripping. And I commented that it looks different. My family here and I have gotten some threats on my life. People are talking about they hope that I die and that I get over some snow.
And while people have been capturing all sorts of strange things at ground level, now we turn towards the skies. More and more sightings are being captured of things that people just can't explain.
I'm in Fresno at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're seeing this weird in the sky right now. Let me show you. Like a piece of real quick. What is that? That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say. We got chemtrails. We got like serious air. Like what the hell's happening? It's a simulation. Earlier, I said I was like in that circle with a line on the road.
All right, just to show. So we're outside Buffalo Wild Wings right now. No AI, and there's these. I can't make it out. What could be a natural occurrence for that?
Because they're weird shapes. They're not like round.
Some of them look like this. That is weird, dude. And they're not far. This is the age of disclosure, man.
And those strange orbs people have been capturing in the sky over the last year or two, well, they're beginning to appear to be a bit larger now. And in some cases, they've been captured moving more dramatically.
Trabajar largas jornadas y sentir que tu tiempo no alcanza para lo que más te importa puede ser frustrante.
Holy crap, look at this! Honest to God! Holy!
But if that's not strange enough, take a look at this.
Well, what is it?
Oh, and guess what? Remember that weird phenomenon with the sky turning pink that I showed you in last week's video?
Why the f*** is the sky pink? Bro, if I didn't have a video, no one would believe me.
It happened again.
This is not what I would expect to see first thing in the morning in January.
But this time, it was in Iowa. Seems a little bit weird to me.
Some steam fog out there. We'll have some radiation fog forming over land as well. So some radiation fog forming over land as well. So some radiation fog forming over land as well. So double whammy fog-wise tomorrow.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. Record-breaking cold temperatures, entire cities turning pink, more unexplained objects in the sky, and now people questioning the snow itself, saying that there might be something weird inside the snow.
This time about the snow itself, and it has led to possible death threats.
Maybe all of this has an explanation, or maybe something is actually changing, like our geomagnetic field, for instance, after all the solar blasts.
Swear to you guys, there's not a city over there. I'm not gonna say where I live, but what is happening? No, dude. Hold on.
All of this is in response to
Our polar vortex. Our polar vortex. Either way, 2026 is going to be an interesting year to keep your eyes on, so make sure that you stick around, hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell icon so you see all the new uploads. I'll be uploading weekly, so thanks for watching, and if you have a strange sighting or something that you captured on camera, you can send it over to anotherstrangevideo@gmail.com, and I will see you next week.
All right. Do you have anything you want to talk about?
Not really. We've been seeing these videos for years now. Ain't nothing new about those.
Right.
Anything. Yeah.
All right.
What's happening now, though, real quick, what's happening now, though, is a lot of people who were hearing this 10, 15 years ago and had time to sit their ass down in the crib when COVID happened, now are aware of these things and now they're seeing it. That's the difference.
All right. All right. Well, we're winding it down to these 3 extra videos or photos that I got. And I'm just being mindful and letting people to remember that these animals that we call white boy and girl don't deserve no respect. Not one. All of them ain't shit. All of them. Our ancestors kicked them out of Egypt and killed them. Kicked them out of Greece and Rome and killed them. And now it is time to do it again and for the last time. 3 strikes you out. There's no more love between us and the children of ours. They gotta go. One way or the other. And we need to really put the hammer down politically, economically, spiritually, and physically and lock them up. If the crime is so heinous, kill them. Because everything is still alive. And every person who is on that everything list, they need to be killed. Any crime against humanity, and especially kids. And bro, I seen one where a little boy, 5 years old, was killed on a yacht, cut open, disemboweled, and the white folks on that yacht ate his intestines. These people are wild, man. They don't deserve no respect that they got from our ancestors. And I'm being very, very, very serious about that. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we're going to wrap it up and look at this video. It's only 38 seconds long. And it begs the question. The year 1965, segregation is over. And you finally taste the food y'all was getting beat and bitten by dogs for.
When I was finally served at that counter, I thought it was by far one of the lousiest meals I ever had. And I asked myself the question, is this what I put my life on the line for? But remember, it wasn't about the food anyhow. It was about being treated as a fellow human being.
Food, nigga. Yeah, what the fuck? You can't go to your own goddamn black-owned restaurants and shit, or whatever you call them back in them days. So I was born in 72, so yeah, I know Gladys in Chicago, man. That's where we hung out at. So Gladys and all the black, man, you get into some home-cooked meals, man, with love. Not this nasty ass unseasoned food, man. What the fuck? All right, so now this is how dumb they are. Yeah, have you ever seen that show called Faces of Death, bro?
Of course, I love it.
Yeah, that was the thing back in me, because I couldn't understand how dumb white folks are. They go all up into the safari African fucking with the goddamn lion like it's a Disney character.
Lions,
And
crocodiles, bears,
yeah,
buffalo.
yeah.
Bro,
And then
they got
right,
I'm telling you, they got whole channels on Facebook just for that.
really. Well, you gotta send them to me.
Yep. I can send you 2 or 3 right now. You go ahead and show
Right.
that clip, and I'll look for one or two.
Okay. So one video that I saw a long time ago on Faces of Death. They had a white boy who thought he was smart. He was on a 3-level platform or something, and he had a 5-story rope. He died. He jumped head first. He died. And good riddance. Hold on. Always doing dumb shit. Okay, and this is the last one. Now this one.
You know what they call that literally?
Say what now?
You know what they literally call what he did?
What happened?
They call that falling flat on your face.
Man, that was his head. I guess that's the face, but he didn't make it. I don't believe he made it because all that weight he had going 9.8 feet per second. But that gravity takes over, bro. Force equal mass times acceleration. Nigga, that dude was gone. He gone. Just as soon as his head hit that ground, that was it. He was knocked out and knocked out dead. So, here we go. The last one before we round it up. Epstein files are just a drop in the bucket of the broader elite pedophile culture. This is what the slimy old pedo elites of the world talk about when they think the cameras are turned off. Let's take a listen.
This one's in Thailand. Beautiful. What comes with the island? There's a small villa here. You could practically go. Yeah, there's do the islands come with the children, or are the children? This island does have a small school. There are children. Okay, so I don't know if that's. Yeah, what countries are near to abduct them from? Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Philippines. The Philippines. Of course. The Filipinos, if they're not getting nursed, they're being served. Okay, so true. Yeah. So. What age range is? Below 10. I don't really.
All right, we're done with this dumb shit. Any comments, bro, before I close it out? Elias. Brother Elias, can you hear me? All right, well, we're waiting on him to come back but we're going to close it out. Now, the point of the videos and all the ones that I've done over the last 6 months especially, I'm waiting on my sister to give, because she moved to Mauritius in Africa, on the Supreme African Breaking News and Supreme African News, whether or not it's one or the other, to highlight and to record that video if it exists still in Africa, and I think it still is. You gotta let these motherfuckers go. Cause white folks ain't shit, never have been shit, never will be shit, but it's a pile of shit. And I'm here to tell you that this is it. That last video of the sister, the AI sister, was saying that, hold on, was saying that,
Yo, I'm back.
okay.
I X'd myself out instead of coming back to the show. Apologies.
Okay, no problem. Do you have any thing to say about tonight's show?
Another great show, my brother. We just showing people what's coming in the near future. That's all. We've been calling it for the last 2 years now,
Right.
and until it finishes, you know, when everything finishes, I don't want to meet you online. I want to meet you in person.
Right.
So we're gonna be celebrating, brother. We're gonna
Yeah,
be
of course.
celebrating how we.
It ain't gonna be long either. It ain't gonna be long. I'll give it another 4 to 6 months. Yeah. So,
I'm with you on
the United States of Africa comes online on February the 26th. AfriCoin and the unit are the two global master currencies that outweigh and is way more important than the dollar or whatever the hell that America has up its sleeve, trying to get rid of that $38 trillion debt. Europe is bankrupt, America is bankrupt, and Australia and Canada are bankrupt. So if you look across the pages of history, every big country, important country, every hegemony fell because of economic mismanagement. That's it. They weren't conquered. They weren't beaten. They beat themselves. So we're going to be seeing, as we had seen before, Africa being at the forefront of it all. And whoever the president may be, it might be Traore, it might be somebody else, but whatever the case may be, he be representing the black diaspora, the global south, and the continent as a whole. And to be honest with you, I am not being facetious at all. I am being very real that you will see the black man and woman being the masters of the political game, economic game, spiritual game, and physical game. There ain't nobody that's better than us in war. Nobody. And the white boy learned his war tactics from us, from Hannibal Carthage. And it is beyond me, well, I'm not going to say beyond me. It is beyond the pale to even imagine Africa going back. We're not going back. We're going to take it over. And be it as it may, white folks ain't going to like that. And to be honest, I don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. Fuck them. Because at the end of the day, who's hiring your white stinking funky asses? Black people. But we're going to be looking after ours first. The youngest population on the globe is that of Africa. 60 to 70% of the population is under 20. Gold being discovered. And I think it's in oh boy, in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, but it's in Africa that $12 trillion worth of gold was discovered. Not talking about the other 20 trillion in other places. It's over. The white boy got to sit down and beg us to do this and to do that, and we're not giving it to him because he has fucked this world up. He has made justice, injustice, injustice, justice, good, bad, bad, good. The world is tired of this motherfucker. He's a bitch, a fag, and a worthless motherfucker. Oh, but he's a fag. But, bitch, you don't know? The vast majority of the people in the Senate and Congress and the world in positions of power are fags, fucking each other in the ass, sucking dick and licking balls. I'm just keeping it on the real, on 100. And it's important to understand who are we dealing with. And these people are savages. They were savages when we tried to civilize them the first time, second time, and third time. There's no more. They're uncivilizable. 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 And so with that, bro, you got anything else to say before we cut it loose?
You are eloquent, young man, and I concur.
We're the same age, bro. What's up?
I said eloquent. That means well spoken. That doesn't mean age. That ain't got nothing to do with age.
Okay, my bad. I'm getting but I ain't nothing but love.
You telling me we the same age? They ain't got nothing to do with that. Yeah.
Well, I guess throwing it out there, see what I'm gonna catch.
I'm with you, big bro. I'm with you.
All right, man. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and like always, for the next 24/7.
I appreciate you inviting me. Yeah. I appreciate that as well.
Well, like always, man, because you're one of the few who I can depend on, who will know exactly what I'm talking about and bring it to the table. So I appreciate you more. So for the next 24/7, 365, stay black and fuck all white folks. I'll see you Tuesday.